The year is 1914. German soldiers are less than 30 miles from Paris. The French capital trembles, civilians flee, government officials panic, and the sound of distant artillery echoes across the fields of France. It seems certain that the German Empire will win the war in just a few weeks. But then, in a desperate, unexpected stand along a quiet river called the Marne, ordinary soldiers and brave commanders changed the course of history. This is the story of how the Battle of the Marne saved France, ended Germany's dream of a quick victory, and set the stage for 4 years of brutal trench warfare. 1. The road to war. To understand the Battle of the Marne, we must first look at how World War I began. Europe in the early 1900s was a tense and divided continent. Two powerful alliance systems had formed: the Triple Entente, France, Britain, and Russia. The Triple Alliance, Germany, Austria-Hungary, and Italy. Nationalism, imperial competition, and military buildup made war seem almost inevitable. Then, on June 28, 1914, a single event lit the spark. Archduke Franz Ferdinand of Austria-Hungary was assassinated in Sarajevo by a Serbian nationalist named Gavrilo Princip. Austria-Hungary blamed Serbia and, with Germany's backing, declared war on July 28th. Within weeks, Europe was on fire. Germany declared war on Russia, then on France, and invaded Belgium on August 4th. This invasion brought Britain into the war to defend Belgian neutrality. What began as a local conflict quickly became a world war. To Germany's master plan, the Schlieffen Plan. Germany knew it couldn't fight a long war on two fronts: Russia in the east and France in the west. So German generals followed a strategy called the Schlieffen Plan, named after General Alfred von Schlieffen. The plan was simple but risky. Strike France first, defeat it in 6 weeks, and then turn east to fight Russia. To do this, German forces would swing through Belgium, bypass the strong French border defenses, and capture Paris from the north. It was a daring plan, and it almost worked. By late August 1914, German armies had smashed through Belgium and northern France. The French army, following its own outdated plan called Plan 17, had suffered terrible losses. Thousands of soldiers in bright red trousers and blue coats marched bravely into machine gun fire. The British Expeditionary Force, BEF, small but professional, fought fiercely at Mons and Le Cateau, but had to retreat as well. Paris was in danger. German troops were advancing fast, confident, organized, and nearly unstoppable. 3. The French response, retreat and reorganization. As the German advance continued, French Commander General Joseph Joffre made a painful but wise decision to retreat strategically and reorganize. He dismissed commanders who lost their nerve and replaced them with men who would fight to the end. Meanwhile, in Paris, the situation was grim. The government began moving to Bordeaux, fearing the capital might fall. Citizens fled by the thousands. Even the famous Eiffel Tower was used to send military radio signals, a symbol that France was preparing for a last stand. But not everyone was ready to surrender. The new military governor of Paris, General Joseph Gallieni, believed the city could be saved. He kept his cool, reinforced defenses, and organized taxis and buses to transport troops to the front lines, an action that would soon become legendary. 4. The German mistake. By early September, the German 1st and 2nd Armies, commanded by Generals Alexander von Kluck and Karl von Bülow, were just east of Paris. However, their rapid advance had stretched their supply lines thin. They were tired, hungry, and losing coordination with each other. Von Kluck, eager for glory, turned his army southeast to chase retreating French forces, instead of marching directly toward Paris. This created a gap, a dangerous 30-mile wide opening between the German 1st and 2nd Armies. General Joffre saw the opportunity. He realized that if the Allies could strike into that gap, they might cut the German army in two. The moment to counterattack had come. 5. The battle begins September 6, 1914. On September 6, 1914, the French 6th Army, led by General Michel Monnery, launched a surprise attack on von Kluck's right flank near the Ourcq River, a tributary of the Marne. The Germans were caught off guard but fought fiercely. Meanwhile, the British Expeditionary Force moved into the gap between the German armies, advancing cautiously but steadily. At the same time, other French armies attacked further east, putting pressure on von Bülow. The fighting was intense, chaotic, and spread over a 160-kilometer front. Villages changed hands several times in a single day. Machine guns rattled, artillery thundered, and soldiers fought through smoke, mud, and fear. 6. The taxis of the Marne. Perhaps the most iconic image of the battle came from the streets of Paris, when Gallieni realized he needed to move thousands of reserve soldiers quickly to the front. He ordered Paris taxi drivers to help. Around 600 taxis were used to transport roughly 6,000 soldiers to the battlefield overnight. Though the number of troops carried was small compared to the total forces, the psychological impact was huge. It showed the unity and determination of the French people, every citizen doing their part to save their country. The taxis of the Marne became a powerful symbol of national courage. 7. The turning point. By September 9th, German command realized the danger. The French and British attacks were gaining ground, and the German 1st and 2nd Armies were at risk of being surrounded. German Chief of Staff Helmuth von Moltke, who was directing the campaign from Luxembourg, began to lose control. Communications were breaking down. When reports came in of disorganized retreats, Moltke famously said, "We have lost the battle." The Germans began pulling back north toward the Aisne River, marking the end of their advance. 8. The aftermath. The Battle of the Marne ended on September 12, 1914, with the German retreat complete. Casualties were enormous. France, about 250,000 casualties. Britain, about 13,000. Germany, about 250,000 as well. More than 500,000 men were killed, wounded, or missing in just 1 week. The Allies had won barely, but their victory had enormous consequences. The German plan to quickly defeat France had failed. The war would not end by Christmas, as many had hoped. 9. The birth of trench warfare. After retreating from the Marne, German forces dug defensive positions along the Aisne River. The Allies tried to attack, but the Germans' machine guns and artillery made frontal assaults deadly. Both sides began digging trenches to protect themselves. By the end of 1914, a line of trenches stretched from the North Sea to Switzerland, over 400 miles long. This was the start of trench warfare, a new and terrible kind of fighting that would define World War I for the next 4 years. The open fields of France turned into muddy, bloody battlegrounds filled with barbed wire, rats, and endless artillery fire. 10. Why the Battle of the Marne mattered. The Battle of the Marne changed everything. Here's why it was so important. It saved France. If Paris had fallen, France might have been forced to surrender early in the war. It ended the Schlieffen Plan. Germany's dream of a quick victory was over. It created a long, static front. The Western Front would remain almost unchanged until 1918. It boosted Allied morale. The victory showed that the German army could be stopped. It showed modern warfare's brutality. The scale of destruction shocked the world and hinted at the long nightmare ahead. 11. The human side of the battle. Behind the numbers and strategies were human stories, soldiers, civilians, and commanders who lived through unimaginable moments. Letters from the front describe exhaustion, confusion, and courage. Many French soldiers marched for miles, fought for days, and had barely eaten. German soldiers, too, wrote home about fear and frustration as they realized victory was slipping away. One French officer wrote, "We have been fighting for days without rest, but we will not let them reach Paris. Not one step back." On both sides, young men fought with conviction, unaware that the war they had entered would drag on for years and claim millions of lives. 12. The commander's reflections. After the battle, both sides tried to make sense of what had happened. General Joffre became a national hero in France. His calm leadership and timely counterattack earned him respect. General von Moltke, on the other hand, suffered a nervous breakdown and was soon replaced. He later admitted, "The war is lost." German officers blamed exhaustion, poor communication, and overconfidence. French generals credited discipline, coordination, and the will to resist. 13. The global perspective. While the Battle of the Marne was fought in France, its effects were felt across the world. In the United States, newspapers followed the story closely. Many Americans, though neutral at the time, were fascinated by how close Germany had come to victory. In Russia, the pressure on the Eastern Front helped distract German forces. And in Britain, the victory at the Marne reinforced the decision to stay fully committed to the war. Lessons from the battle. For students of history, the Battle of the Marne offers powerful lessons. Strategy and logistics matter. The German army was powerful but overstretched. Morale can change outcomes. French soldiers believed they were fighting for their homeland, and that belief gave them strength. War is unpredictable. Even the best-laid plans can fail when faced with reality. Technology changes warfare. Machine guns, airplanes, and radios began to transform the battlefield. 15. The legacy of the Marne. In later years, historians often called the Battle of the Marne the miracle of the Marne. Not because it was supernatural, but because it seemed almost impossible that the Allies had stopped the German advance in time. Monuments and cemeteries today mark the fields where so many fought and died. The River Marne, once a quiet place of peace, became a symbol of national survival. When World War I finally ended in 1918, many remembered the Marne as the moment when hope returned to France. 16. Recap and reflection. The Battle of the Marne was not just a military event. It was a turning point in human history. It showed the limits of industrial warfare and the beginning of modern tactics. It proved that courage and unity could stop even the most powerful army. Paris was saved, France endured, and the world entered a new and terrible phase of war that would change it forever. Short recap for students, YouTube summary. In 1914, Germany invaded France through Belgium, aiming for a quick victory. As German armies neared Paris, the French and British launched a desperate counterattack along the Marne River. After 6 days of brutal fighting, the Allies forced the Germans to retreat. The Schlieffen Plan failed, trench warfare began, and World War I turned into a long, deadly stalemate. The Battle of the Marne saved France and changed the course of the 20th century. Suggested YouTube title: Movie Camera, The Battle That Saved France, The Miracle of the Marne 1914. Thumbnail prompt for AI image generator. World War I soldiers fighting near a river in France. Smoke and chaos in the air. French troops advancing with determination. Early 1900s uniforms, dramatic, cloudy sky. Cinematic lighting, realistic, historical war art.